SEO helps with GEO. There is a correlation between content that ranks in traditional search and content that is cited in AI answers. So it's not totally decoupled yet. What I recommend is stick with your SEO strategy, but split it off and run some experiments. Publish some listicles, some comparison articles, get some trade blog op-eds, appear on some podcasts, and then track your homepage visits over time and see how much it's effective. That's how you're going to evaluate your experiment, to see how much you're able to give the signals to the AI search that will allow people to navigate this new self-guided nurture journey.
Mike's got the hat, the AI kind. Unlocking power in business you'll find. Cut through the hype, explore the tech. Every week, new ideas to check. Allton leads us on a digital quest. AI secrets he'll always invest. Tune in tight, don't miss a beat. Knowledge groove, keep you on your feet. Listen up to the AI flow. Business growth, here we go. Cutting edge insights, that's the plan. With the AI hat, you'll understand.
Greetings, program. Welcome back to the AI Hat podcast, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts harnessing the power of AI across all areas of business, from streamlining operations and boosting productivity to getting a competitive edge and driving explosive growth. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to be shown how to prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come out ahead. Now, what if everything you know about getting found online just became obsolete overnight? For decades, we've mastered the art of SEO, keywords, backlinks, page rankings. We've built entire marketing strategies around getting to the top of Google's search results. But here's the uncomfortable truth. AI is fundamentally changing how people discover brands and information. When someone asks ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity for business recommendations, traditional SEO rankings mean little. Your perfectly optimized website might be invisible to AI algorithms that are now answering millions of queries every day. The businesses that don't adapt aren't just missing opportunities, they're becoming irrelevant. And that's exactly why I'm thrilled to have Ben Jacobson join us today as Chief Content Officer at InboundJunction. Ben works directly with growth stage tech companies to navigate this new landscape. He's not just theorizing about AI search, he's actively helping brands crack the code on AI visibility. His insights have appeared in Search Engine Land and HubSpot, and he's developed proven strategies for getting brands mentioned in AI responses. Ben understands that this isn't about abandoning everything we know about SEO, but evolving it for an AI-first world. Hey, Ben, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me.
Love that you're here. I love this conversation. This is something I've been into for, frankly, a couple decades ago as a content marketer. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Is traditional SEO dead, or are we looking at some kind of an evolution here?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's really, to me, that's a semantic question, right? So no matter what platform we're talking about, it's an issue of people typing in queries to try to find information. You know, when TikTok became a big deal and everyone was trying to figure out how can we get our content to surface on TikTok, is that a type of SEO or is that something else? When the Apple App Store started to be a big deal and people wanted to surface for searches within that ecosystem, was that SEO even though it wasn't Google, or is it not? It's a semantic question. So we'll see what happens. But yes, on the other hand, keywords, backlinks, rankings, top of the funnel traffic, it's not really important anymore when it comes to AI search. Also, the objectives are different. You're not trying to acquire top of the funnel traffic anymore. Instead, you want to be recommended by the AI engines. So there are certain ways that this is something totally different. So people are messing around with different names for it. They call it LLMO or GEO, which is generative engine optimization. And there's some other terms being kicked around. We'll see. For now, look, there's plenty of correlation still between SEO and GEO. A lot of the same content that ranks well in traditional search also ranks well in AI search. There's a lot of studies that point to that. So it's not totally decoupled yet, but we'll see. We'll see in a few years what people are calling it. Who knows?
I love this perspective because it's really underlining the fact that it doesn't really matter what it's called. The point is that we need to be optimizing our brands and our content for discovery, regardless of what platform people are using. And that's requiring now a change perhaps in how we think about that, because the platforms are changing, they're evolving, and there are more of them. Because to your point, we didn't have TikTok 10 years ago. It was all focused on online web search, but then we had TikTok and the App Store, and now we have apps like Perplexity and ChatGPT and so on. You've talked to me before, and you've intimated here that we need to be paying attention to how AI is actually surfacing content about brand to, I think, probably better understand how to optimize for that. Are there patterns that you're seeing that marketers might be completely unprepared for?
Yeah. So I think it's less about the biggest change, I think, has less to do with how the content is surfacing and more has to do with the user's content journey, the customer journey, right? And that's been evolving a lot. It's been less trackable for many years. It's been across screens, across platforms. Well, now there's basically no way to get that top of the funnel traffic anymore, because that's just not how people use these AI chatbots. People aren't looking for information and then clicking through to read that information. So companies that have built their whole marketing funnel around acquiring an audience and nurturing that audience within the ecosystem of their owned media, of their own website, it's just not happening anymore. So that's what's called zero click, right? And we've seen zero click searches rising in how common they are for a long time. It started with these kinds of answer boxes and information boxes that were aggregating to Google search results pages. But now that we have AI overviews in Google, it's turned into really a rarity that someone will click through on those blue links that are way below the answers. I like to think of it as the next stage of what we used to call back in the day with content marketing, what we called particleized content, right? So the idea was, okay, you had little pieces of content that you were distributing all over different platforms. This is when social media first started to become a big deal. Mobile was first starting to be a big deal. Facebook came out with this format called instant articles, where you could still have rich media in the articles and it would load really fast on mobile. And they were saying, Facebook was pushing this and saying, everybody publish on this because it's a better user experience. And then you can also build ad audiences within Facebook for this. And so this is like the next stage of that. Marketers did not know what to do with it at the time. And yeah, instant articles died, or I guess it did die, but that's what's happening here with AI search and AI chatbots. Is the whole journey is happening away from your site and in ways that you have limited visibility into. And you need to make sure that the content that surfaces in these contexts helps them with their self-guided journeys, so that eventually they'll search for your brand name and then click through to your homepage, instead of to some optimized blog post where you might or might not have been able to convert them fast.
I love that you mentioned instant articles. I absolutely remember them. I'm sure I
Yeah.
wrote about them. I'm sure I wrote about Google AMP, which I think was
Right.
Google's version of instant articles.
Yeah.
And one of many examples you and I could both come up with of directions that these major tech companies took that the rest of us, we had to take the time to figure out, to build in processes, to apply and comply with those kinds of tactics that only later then they took away. And so I think a lot of folks listening might be wondering how much of this shift towards AI focused optimization can we count on to stick around for more than 6 months? And do we even know? I know that's a hard question for you to answer.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just seeing it growing and growing. And as opposed to AMP and instant articles where the big tech platforms are saying, well, you have to do this right away. A lot of this is now staged rollouts. AI overviews first started coming, it might have been even about a year ago to Google search results, but they only went mainstream a few months ago. So they're seeing that people are actually using it.
Right. Yeah. I was recalling Google authorship, and Facebook had their own version of authorship as just another example of the kinds of things that they keep trying and they keep doing, and then eventually they take it away. So we're talking about folks using Google search still, but now they're relying on the Google AI overview to give them the entire answer that they're looking for. I personally have switched to using Perplexity almost 100% of the time, unless I've got some particular intent, something I want to find, like a website or something. I'm asking my questions to Perplexity. There's still obviously value in brands being included in that response because there will be some click-throughs, right? And so I know you've talked about something that you called a strategic PR mention approach. Does that impact here? Does that come into play in actually trying to get brands surfaced in these overviews?
Yeah. So basically how the AI searches index content or surface content or determine how content should inform the answers, it's totally different from traditional search. And so what we're seeing is it's all about brand mentions as opposed to keywords. So how do you get those brand mentions placed in a way that maximizes the influence, let's say, on AI answers? And there's been a lot of different data studies about this, a lot of conjecture also, and different thought leaders are saying different things. Some people are saying it's all about quantity. Just blast it everywhere. Do a lot of press releases that get syndicated to different publications. It doesn't matter if it's all low quality sites, even sites that Google might have penalized, that might have hurt your SEO, they might help your GEO. Other people are saying, no, quality does matter. It's just a different type of quality. So publication relevance seems to be important, whether it's an upper tier authority publication or a niche relevant publication, like a trade publication. The most important thing to understand about the way the tech works is that a lot of searches in AI, it's going to just surface answers based on its training data set, which could be a little outdated. Some of them, different ones are refreshing it at different rates. There's also free versus paid versions of these apps that might have different training data sets. But a lot of it is retrieving answers from the live web using their agents. And that we're seeing happening more and more often. There was a recent study that showed that ChatGPT searches queries about half the time are triggering live web search to find the answers. So it's really about landing those brand mentions in relevant contexts and that are framed in ways that are relevant to what people are asking. I like to think about it as the next stage of semantic keywords or topic clusters. Google has gotten smarter and smarter about understanding the meaning behind keywords. So whereas at the beginning, Google was all about exact match keywords because it was just looking for those letters in the same sequence appearing in the articles, it got smarter and smarter so that now it's more about topic authority, even in traditional Google search. Well, with AI search, it's taken even further. AI is determining what are the topics that your brand is associated with, what are the areas where you are an authority, and it's going to surface content in its answers. It's going to surface summaries that are relevant to that. So the other thing I want to say about strategic PR for AI search is the formatting and the voice that AI likes. So we're talking about articles that have authoritative statements, so less nuance, more just telling the AI, here's what this fact is, and so it can learn from that. There's also content formats that it favors, like listicles and comparison articles. And within that, how is the content presented? So we're seeing a lot of citations to articles that have summary bullets at the top of the article, that have a lot of bullet sections and charts within the article, that have FAQ sections at the bottom of the article. These are different kind of things that can elements that can trigger the AI and help the AI to learn the meaning behind the content more easily, and that therefore it's more likely to surface in the answers. And then there's also, beyond articles, there's other types of earned media that are very influential. There's a lot of studies about what are the different platforms that AI likes to cite in its answers. And a lot of it comes from podcasts, YouTube videos, Reddit discussions, Quora answers, different review platforms. So, if you're doing PR, if you look at PR beyond kind of articles mentioning the brand, and look at shared media as part of the mix of as a type of earned media, then you're going to be more influential. The other thing that my agency at InboundJunction, what we're looking at a lot is, what's the content that AI cites in its answers when AI is talking about your competitors? So what are the sources there? And then it's like competitor research for, like we used to do for SEO. So then we can say, okay, when it comes to this topic or this product category, AI really likes this publication or this type of publication. And then if we can land mentions in that publication or similar publications, then there's reason to believe that AI will cite that.
What I find fascinating is that these mentions you're talking about, traditional SEO would refer to them as citations, right? And they would have been valued a lot less than a link. And I can recall for previous bosses that I might have worked with, I would get quoted in a publication for an opinion on social media or a change to YouTube or Elon doing what Elon does. And they'd be like, oh, that's nice, because it was just Mike Allton from brand, blah, 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 with no link. Now it sounds like that's a lot more valuable, and it's something folks should focus on. For business leaders and agency owners that are listening right now, what would you say there are immediate signals that their current SEO strategy just isn't prepared for AI search?
Yeah. So like you said, I think a lot of it is looking at things in terms of backlinks, looking at things in terms of informational keywords, because like I said, that top of the funnel traffic, you're just not going to get it in the same way you used to. The other thing that I've noticed a lot, and it's been bothering me for many years, even before AI search, is being too salesy in your thought leadership content, whether that's an earned media or an owned media. The tendency is to say, okay, I've got an audience. I'm establishing that I'm an authority in this topic. How do I convert them? Well, I'm going to talk about how awesome my product is and how my product helps with what I'm talking about now. And then hopefully that'll convert people. It never worked. But I think in the age of AI search, I think it's also undermining the authority of that content. I think the AI needs to see that you're a topic authority, as opposed to, when you're talking about your product, a separate bucket.
That makes a lot of sense. Talk to me a little bit about InboundJunction. What is it that you do exactly? How do you help brands, in particular along the lines of what we're talking about so far?
Yeah. So we've always been a hybrid of SEO and PR. As an agency, we cover a lot of different channels within earned media. And yeah, we're basically evolving our playbook now to figure out what are the different publications for each kind of business niche that are most influential for AI search. We're doing a lot more in terms of landing op-eds for thought leadership to train the AI to associate our client brand names with topic expertise. And like I was saying earlier, these kinds of other formats and platforms, whether it's community forums, reviews, podcasts, we're doing a lot of listicles, and we're encouraging our contacts, our contributors or publishers, to optimize the content itself for GEO, to have more of these bullet sections, these summaries, the FAQs, the charts, And that helps them as well because they also want to be cited. It's not just about our clients being mentioned.
Got it. Got it. So when you're working with clients like this, how do you figure out if it's working? How are you measuring success when you don't have traditional dashboards with rankings and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's complicated. It's a very kind of immature space when it comes to the tracking metrics and the tools, the toolbox. There's a lot of platforms, a lot of tools being built. It's quickly getting crowded, and each one kind of works in its own way. We'll see what emerges. But yeah, it's extra difficult because there's no referred traffic to track. There's and even if you're tracking different specific prompts to the AI searches, most people are getting personalized answers. So different people are the AI search is so good, or the AI chatbots are so good at learning who the user is and what they like and what they're looking for. So two different people asking the same question are going to get different answers. So how do you track how your brand surfaces there when everybody's seeing something else? How do you formulate which prompts you want to track the answers for if it's not about keywords anymore? Then there's also the issue of cannibalizing yourself with some of these articles, whether it's earned media or owned media. If you're publishing these products comparison pieces or listicles, how do you know you're not accidentally promoting one of your competitors and sending the signals to the AI that your competitor deserves to be mentioned more? And it's really tricky. So yeah, there are tools that can do a lot of this. Some of the better ones that I've seen work with keywords that are around your product category. So you want to kind of name your product category, and then behind the scenes, the tracking tool will formulate dozens of AI prompts associated with that. So what are the best solutions for blank? How do I go about fixing blank? Who are the market leaders in blank? Things like that. And then it'll run the prompts across many engines. It'll do it from anonymized, not logged in users or a series of users over time. So you can get a wider picture. But really, to measure success, like I was saying about the new customer journey, you have to think about how people are actually using these tools. They're having conversations with AI and they're moving themselves down the funnel. And then eventually, when they know that either they want to do business with you or that you're on their short list of finalists of solutions they might want to do business with, they're gonna search for your brand name and they're gonna end up on your home. So the best proxy metric, according to many, for AI search optimization is homepage visits.
Got it. Got it. I think the irony here, though, is that as we get further and further into the AI revolution and AI evolves as a technology, we'll see more and more AI powered solutions to this kind of thing where we'll be able to have agents that are monitoring a lot of this. Or as folks, we're talking with Ben Jacobson about the fate and the future of SEO. And I've got several more questions you aren't going to want to miss. But first, a quick idea for how else agency and business owners like you can leverage AI as an agency owner. What's your most valuable asset? It's your expertise. And what's your most limited resource? Your time. So why is so much of your day spent on tasks that don't require your unique genius? Drafting routine emails, summarizing meeting notes, creating proposals from scratch. It's the operational drag that keeps you from scaling your business and ever taking a real vacation. What if you could build a second brain, an AI assistant trained specifically on your knowledge, in your voice, to handle those repetitive tasks for you? That's exactly what my AI Work Buddy mini course teaches you to do. In just a couple of hours, you will build a system to handle that cognitive work so you can finally focus on strength, strategy, growth, and the parts of the business only you can do. Stop being the bottleneck in your own business. Start building your AI Work Buddy today. Visit theaihat.com/workbuddy. We've successfully shifted a client's visibility from traditional search to AI platforms.
Yeah, basically we've shifted a lot our playbook. Like I said, we've got some new tactics we're using, and we're tracking success over time. We're seeing how it goes. Look, to be maybe too honest with you, this this is this is a new space in marketing. This is an emerging discipline, and it's all changing very quickly. So any agency that tells you they've got it all figured out and they know they can definitely get you mentioned in the AI answers, that I would be skeptical of. And yeah, I can't really share too much about my clients. So this is a lot of them. This is their secret sauce, how they go about doing things. But I can say we have managed to get a handful of our clients in the top 5 share of voice for their competitive categories for getting mentioned. So it does seem to be working so far.
Got it. Got it. So we've talked a lot about what I would call external placements. Let's talk a little bit more about internal placements. What role do you think like content context plays versus some of the traditional keyword optimization we've intimated earlier in this conversation?
Yeah, so content context is super important, like we were saying about topic authority, or it's like the old what we called in SEO EEAT, of like showing you're an authority in your space, moving beyond actual keywords to semantic keywords, topic clusters, and this is how it works with AI content or content optimized for AI to notice as well, whether it's on your site or any other site. So yeah, keyword stuffing, it's been bad for a long time, but this is like the next stage of that. Also, when it comes to mentioning the product, no matter where you're doing it, shoehorning a mention, forcing it in there in a way that isn't contextually relevant, it's just not going to teach the AI to associate your brand with the topics that you want AI to associate your brand to. So it's you need to think about teaching the AI.
Got it. So I know one of the things I'm struggling with, and I think a lot of the folks listening may also be struggling this, whether for their own business, their clients. How do they decide where to start shifting resources? Maybe they've been putting a lot of resources into traditional SEO. Now there's this new AI optimization or AI search optimization. Obviously, that requires some additional resources or different allocation of resources. How do they balance that? Do they go all in on the AI? Is it 50-50? What's your advice there?
Yeah, I wouldn't go all in just yet, but you also can't ignore it. And especially for businesses with limited budgets, which is almost everybody nowadays, it's a really tricky thing to figure out. Especially, I think it's important to keep paying attention to traditional SEO. People do still click on those blue links less than they used to. They'll have to scroll down farther to see them, but it does happen. And it does happen a lot, even if it's much less than it was. And also, when you talk about the searches that trigger the AI overviews in Google search results, it's mostly top of the funnel searches, more kind of informational searches. So bottom of the funnel, branded stuff, those you're still going to surface a lot more in the traditional search results. And also, let's keep in mind, SEO helps with GEO, that there is a correlation between content that ranks in traditional search and content that is cited in AI answers. So it's not totally decoupled yet. So what I recommend is stick with your SEO strategy, but split it off and run some experiments, publish some listicles, some comparison articles, get some trade blog op-eds, appear on some podcasts, and then track your homepage visits over time and see how much it's effective. That's how you're going to evaluate your experiment, to see how much you're able to give the signals to the AI search that will allow people to navigate this new self-guided nurture journey. The other thing is ask your customers how they learned about you, which is something people have been talking about for a long time, is the importance of talking to your customers for any number of marketing reasons and other business reasons. But yeah, if people say, yeah, it was ChatGPT, well, then you know.
For sure. I think this is great advice. Folks listening, do not abandon your content marketing, your SEO efforts. Just carve out some ways to test and explore some of the things that Ben's been talking about with us so far today. I've got one more question for you. I found this really interesting. I was working with a local Korean barbecue restaurant here in St. Louis. Fantastic family run, old business, traditional business. And one of the things I discovered in talking to him was that because of the logistics around Korean barbecue, they'd always push back on the idea of taking reservations so that they're not on Open Table, they're not on Yelp, can't do reservations like that. And I explained to him, look, that might have been okay a couple of years ago when folks were still standing in line to come in your restaurant. But as we go forward into this AI agentic era, people can use tools like ChatGPT's operator to look for restaurants that accept online reservations and go make the reservations for them. And if you're not offering that, you're out. When it comes to the kind of optimization we've been talking about, this search optimization, and you're looking ahead, what should business leaders be preparing for now to stay ahead for these kinds of AI search trends?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Look, I think of it mostly as a mindset shift. You just want to be thinking about what is this new self-guided nurture journey, and how does content in different platforms support that, and how does it all surface within AI search answers? And just by being aware of that, keeping track of, you can read trade blogs to see what all the trends are, what the latest data is. But I think it's more just about that mindset shift. Think about yourself. How are you using search? How are you finding the information that you're looking for? And then if you have a follow-up question, what are you doing? Are you clicking through, or are you asking the follow-up question of the AI engine? So that I think is the biggest thing. And I would say no one really, like I was saying earlier, no one really has the answers all figured out. So it's not like SEO where, yeah, it keeps changing, but it's basically the same thing. If you can have good quality content and provide value and optimize for the keywords and get those backlinks, then you'll be in good shape. Well, it's brand new and it's changing all the time. So yeah, I don't know.
That is a very fair and honest answer. I appreciate that. But I think it underscores the point that we're all living through this change together. So hopefully it's a little bit reassuring that your competitors aren't out there killing it because they've got all the answers. Nobody does. Nobody has all the answers. What's important is that you're staying informed and you are listening to podcasts like this and other kinds of resources to know what's going on in this world and what you should be testing and trying. Ben, this has been so fascinating. I know folks, their minds are buzzing. I also know they're going to have some more questions for you. They probably heard some of the suggestions that you had about getting placements in major publications, and they're going to want help. If that's the case, where should they go to reach out?
They should go to ChatGPT. No, just kidding. Maybe they should too. But yeah, we're at InboundJunction.com. That's probably the best way to find us. And yeah, you can reach out and ask all your questions. We're happy to help.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ben. Thank all of you for listening. That's all the time we've got for today, friends. But if this is your first foray into the world of AI business, I do have the perfect resource for you in the show notes below, the AI Primer, designed to quickly get you up to speed on the terms, the tactics, and the underlying technology that's powering this AI revolution. Check it out, and I'll see you in our next episode. Welcome to The Grid. That's a wrap on another episode of the AI Hat Podcast. I hope you gained some valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your business with AI. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And don't forget to visit theaihat.com for more resources and to connect with me. Until next time, keep innovating, and remember, the future of business is human and it's powered by AI.